I mean, I feel like I spend a lot of time talking about Manchester in general. I need to get a new hobby. I need to get a new city to talk about. Is there another city that has multiple massive teams that happen to be failing at the same time? I feel like, I mean, Milan, it's at least possible, but that's not what's happening right now. They're doing better. Maybe Madrid, if you had Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid all of a sudden start failing at the same time. I don't think Germany has one city where you'd be able to rock up and say, well, there's multiple clubs of this size that are failing at once. Paris FC's incredibly wealthy investors have to get up to PSG's level, and then they both have to fall off a cliff or something. But we're talking about two of the top 15 clubs in the world that have been taking a nosedive. But I'm going to take one of them and just kind of throw them out. They're actually playing right now while I'm recording this. So Manchester United, we're not talking about you today. I've talked about you plenty. It's Manchester City who I'm talking about today. Particularly the dumb takes that pop up around what's happening at Manchester City, right? The very, 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 very dumb takes that are happening around Manchester City. And that's fine. I'm more than capable of dropping my own dumb takes. Okay, it happens all the time. Probably going to drop a few more in this video, just, dropping it like it's hot, like it's my job. It's the spice of life. It's the little paprika that you just salt bay on top of life. Dumb takes. Say something stupid, regretted later. Perfect. Ideal. But now the Manchester City situation is creating an environment of stupidity. And there's one that I saw it and I was like, well, now I have to make a video about that environment of stupidity. And it's been kicked off by the fact that Manchester City drew Everton on Boxing Day today. I didn't record yesterday. Merry Christmas to everybody that celebrates. Hope you had a good one. If you don't, then congratulations. You probably got to, enjoy a lot less traffic and shorter lines at theme parks, I guess, or something, depending on where you happen to live. I feel like it would be kind of cool to just not do it once and then see what the world looks like, if you're going around. Hopefully enough stores are open. Like I know Chinese restaurants, at least in the United States, are fabled for their openness on Christmas. So you have the opportunity to go and have a nice meal. You probably get a full 3-course dinner. I don't know how any of that works, but I hope you had a good day regardless of what you were doing yesterday. Manchester City 1-1, Everton. Erling Haaland had a penalty saved, so that'll humble him up a little bit. But great result for Everton. They've got to be happy with that. There's no way they're not happy with that. And it was played at the Etihad, which a lot of people call the empty had, but of course there are actually fans there. I've long been a proponent of the fact that Manchester City has a normal amount of fans for a lower to mid-table Premier League type team. The problem is they're expected to compete with Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool in terms of fan numbers when they just haven't existed in that stratosphere for nearly as long. It's, what happens when an oil state worth billions and billions of dollars buys you and makes you a very relevant club in a way that you just weren't. The Gallaghers, for example, from Oasis are longtime Manchester City fans. It's got to be annoying for people like that, all of the no fan jokes. But after my 8th tangent, we get to what I actually want to talk about today, which doesn't have anything to do with Manchester City not being good. We all know they suck right now. 12 of their last 13 matches in all competitions, they haven't won. Right, and this maybe, we keep stacking more and more surprising results. Drawing Everton at home, that might take the cake. And this is after they spent all that time, they slept at the training ground the night of Christmas or something. They went and trained Christmas night, got the whole team together, trying to turn the corner. It didn't work at all. Right, maybe if Erling Haaland hadn't gone whatever it was right, because he goes right 55% of the time, and that was apparently on Pickford's water bottle, and maybe that's why he was able to make the save. You think Erling Haaland somebody in Pep Guardiola's brilliant staff would make him aware of that fact. Now, this happens, and they get booed off the pitch. Rightfully so. Okay, that's just how this works. All right, if you're supposed to win and you don't win, and then you're walking off the field, you're going to get booed. That's how sport has always worked. That's how sport in every country works. Right? It's the same, you miss a chance, you're going to get booed. You score a chance, you're going to get cheered. Right? Maybe every once in a while you miss a chance and you miss it by that much and the crowd's like, come on, you got him. The match is over. You've lost. And Manchester City is not immune to this sort of situation. Although some people kind of think that they should be. This is Michael Owen. One of the greatest strikers of the last 30 years before his knees betrayed him, or maybe it was his hams. I think it was his knees. I'm 95% sure it was his knees. Something betrayed him, and he didn't have a lot of good years, but he did win the Ballon d'Or. Right? And he tweeted, wow, Man City fans booing their team off at the end. Years and years of incredible success, witnessing some of the best football the world has ever seen, and when the team needs them most. I'm sorry. That's not how it's ever worked. When the team needs them most. It would be great. It probably would be the right decision. If your team was doing really poorly, if you were just exclusively trying to cheer to lift them up. But it would also be the right decision if the referee makes a call against your team for you to not boo him. Instead, for you to cheer the referee to try and get him to come around to your side. That's the same argument. Let me support this referee so that hopefully they make the right decision next time. Right? This knife can cut in both directions. And we all know, no matter what happens, nobody's ever going to be cheering the referee. If you're the home team and a call goes against you that you think was unfair, you're going to be loud and you're going to be kicking and screaming at the ref. And if your team plays poorly when you think they should play well, you're going to boo them. If there's any country that will understand this concept, it's England. They practically invented, pessimism and booing your team off the field and jeering your team. I mean, even in the chronically positive, the criminally positive show, Ted Lasso, they're still calling him a wanker, right? Like that, the journalists are being negative, and it's this storm of negativity. And Michael Owen's one of the greatest English players over the last 30 years. And yet he's saying that they need to get behind their team. This is expectations. And a lot of times expectations are unreasonable. It is very possible to argue this is one of the few times in recent memory where the expectations are fairly well-founded. If you are a Manchester City fan, you are a fan of a club that has won 5 of the last 6 Premier Leagues. You are a fan of a club that has recently won a Champions League. And you are a fan of a club that has essentially, for the better part of a decade, been the dominant team in England and one of the 3 best teams in Europe. And you have won one of your last 13 games. If there was ever a time to boo your team underachieving expectations, it would be now. This would be the time, right? Like there is no better time than now to boo. But we are also talking about a country where a manager like Arsene Wenger, who quite literally delivered the only unbeaten season in the history of the Premier League, and then managed to hold Arsenal in the top 4 as a ramshackle group of parts for like a decade and a half, where he got booted out because that was, he was getting booed and jeered, and that was below expectation. And then Arsenal crashed and burned and had to bounce its way right back up. I mean, this is a country that is booed and jeered for a lot less. A league, a collection of fans that have booed and jeered for a lot less. Like, legitimately don't even understand where this type of tweet could be coming from. And it's far from the only type of take that I've seen about Manchester City's situation. And, all these different people have their 2 cents to weigh in on what it means and why Manchester City's been so bad. The truth is, nobody knows why Manchester City's been so bad. They just suck now. And at a certain point, I'm assuming they're not going to suck, but that's just based off the track record of the people involved. They may suck forever. But the one thing I do know about this situation is that if you are a Manchester City fan, you have the right to boo. You probably should be booing. And nobody can blame you for booing. Because if there was ever a time to boo, it would be now. So Michael Owen, I don't get it. I don't understand. Help me understand what Michael Owen is getting at here. Fans aren't grateful for success. Success sets a new bar, and the moment you don't reach it, they get mad. This is what Manchester United's been dealing with for a decade. Man City is now stepping into the same abyss of eternal pain. It's just a tough time to be in Manchester. Now, Liverpool down the road, on the other hand, Everton, good result. Liverpool, good season. Things are looking up. Maybe you should just move. It's not that far away.